What is going on, everybody? We are back on the Crew 2 today, and well, as you guys know, I have been doing the best vehicles in each class. I've done street, drift, and drag. Now we are on the hypercar class, and well, honestly, this is a pretty hard class to do, mainly because there is a lot of great cars in this class, and well, I feel like a lot of people are driving the Bugattis or the Koenigsegg's and the Porsches. It seems like it's a mix, honestly, what everyone's using. If you guys notice, in a lot of the races, no restriction, people are normally driving the Bugattis or the Koenigsegg's. The Regera's really used a lot. Jesco's pretty good. The Goista used to be on top of pretty much everything. Gemera's kind of weird. I haven't really liked that car too much, how it drives. Obviously, the Carbon Edition is heavily used if you're over level 1000. Personally, I don't really like this car too much. I did mention I'm not going to be doing any of the actual Summit vehicles either because I feel like they're not really fair and not everybody has them. So I'm trying to do this by judgment of the car that everybody can actually use. And I feel like that's the fairest way. The Regera is also a very used vehicle. This car is actually pretty good. Doesn't have that weird acceleration glitch that the Gemera has, at least that I've experienced. I don't know if anyone else have that. Let me know if you guys are too. Haven't really used the interception units too much. And then obviously now doesn't use a Jaguar. Agera's alright. P1's pretty decent. Good car if you're starting out or you hit the level to be able to use it. You got to complete all the missions and all that to get that. Obviously, like I said, I'm not using the Summit vehicles here. Some of them actually aren't that good anyway, like the, that car. Yeah, no. The Grand Sport's pretty decent. One of my favorite Summit vehicles is the Green Flash Edition. But if you're wondering, didn't get that vehicle, the regular Carrera GT is also insanely good. I haven't really used these cars too much either. Some of the speed on them just isn't there and up to par with the Bugattis and Koenigseggs, and they just can't keep up. I've noticed that pretty heavily with the F1 and some of the other cars as well. They just can't seem to keep up with some of them. So I don't really use them too much. Figure I'd go through all these cars right now to show you guys. Haven't really used the Porsche either. Ferrari 488 kind of struggles a little bit, I noticed. Like, you're not going to be able to get high scores on these races, especially in the summits with some of these cars, just because they struggle so much. And I do feel like it is a big issue, especially when you're trying to compete for the best time and all that. The Citroen's actually pretty good. Give that car a shot if you want. I was kind of surprised at the summit with that one. I don't really use too many of the other vehicles. Like I said, the Porsche Carrera GT is actually pretty good. Very similar to Flash Edition. The Flash might be a little faster, but they're pretty much the same, and I definitely recommend giving that car a shot as well. Pretty much do it, guys, going through the vehicles there, guys. So what is my favorite vehicle to use? Well, obviously, I am hovering over the Bugatti Divo, and that is for a good reason because, honestly, guys, this car is insanely freaking good, and I highly recommend giving it a shot if you haven't. I know it's over $2 million, but looking for a best overall vehicle that you can purchase and actually use in any no-restriction race, especially in the summits when you're competing, or if you just want to run some hyper races and get in there and get some money and farm money and all that, this will also be a great vehicle to use. It's actually really, really good, and I was actually using this vehicle over the Emerald Storm from the Summit and the Magma Edition. I just feel like this car is amazing. I'm going to do a race with it right now and talk about it more, but I highly recommend going after the Divo, guys. This car is insanely good, and you'll notice in a lot of the no-restriction races in the Summits for Hypercar, I am running the Divo just because this car is so good, and it gives a chance for everybody to actually use it and have a shot at those high times. So obviously I am running the Nitro Chemist set on here, Extra Pump and Pure, mainly because Hypercar races normally are a little bit longer, you need more nitrous, and having Extra Pump on there is very, very useful and definitely gets you there. If you're going for, like, obviously going for farming and all that, you could run the Fame Magnet set, might be your best bet. But anyway, guys, let's jump right into the race right now, and I'll talk about why I like this car so much and why I think you guys definitely should pick this thing up. Alright, guys, so I figured I would jump right into the Hollywood race here to talk about this car because, well, honestly, I do think this car deserves a lot of love. So, guys, why did I pick the Divo? Well, honestly, for one, everybody can buy this vehicle, which is pretty cool, and it's kind of weird how this car seems to be doing better than a lot of the Summit vehicles. I actually tested this thing against Emerald Storm a while back, and I was kind of surprised how good this car did compared to it. The thing handles really well, has a lot of speed, and it can just pretty much pull away so easily. It can eat corners literally for breakfast, and it's kind of crazy, honestly. It kind of blows my mind a little bit how good this thing actually is. I never really used it a lot, and then I started using it in summits more when they started being no restrictions and stuff like that, and I was like, wait a minute, this thing's actually really good. I don't know if the Emerald Storm was nerfed or not. It does seem a little different than when it first came out in the Summit. I believe some of the Summit vehicles might be a little OP when they come out, at least people think that. And they might end up nerfing them a little bit so they can't overpower some of the other stuff like that. I think that's why the Performante was nerfed a while ago as well, because that car was doing like over 300 miles an hour with no issues at all, and I feel like people got a little tired of it, which I don't really blame them too much because, well, kind of ridiculous. Hopefully those old Summits will come back though to give you guys a chance at getting those cars. Overall, guys, I will also be showing my settings on this car because I think you guys should give it a shot, and it is pretty amazing on how good this thing actually handles with these. I think the Bugattis are on top for a lot of good reasons, guys. I mean, they handle really well, they have a lot of speed, and I feel like they're the best thing to be using, especially competing. I actually drive these cars a lot in general when I'm just doing races and stuff, and when I can't drive too. They just have so much speed, and they just have, honestly, they sound amazing, and you can't really go wrong with Bugatti. Wondering why my car is so blue, because, well, kind of like how the thing looks, super bright. Overall, guys, like I said, this car's over 2 million, so if you're going to want to, you will need to do a little farming, but once you get it, you could farm at these hyper races a lot easier. I kind of shocked, like I said, on how good this thing actually is. If you guys have not driven this thing enough and was wondering what best hypercar you want to run, like competing wise and stuff like that, I'd recommend jumping into this and trying it out. I did test a lot of them out. The Koenigsegg's are really good too. Like I said, the Regera is very, very good as well. Kind of weird on that car accelerates. I have issues getting to certain speeds with it at times, which is kind of weird. But I don't really know what's wrong with it there. The Gemera gave me that issue a lot too. That's why I kind of stopped driving it. I figured why not and jump into the Bugatti here, and don't mind me about my driving right now. I think I'm actually going to jump into the Latrells Part 2 and talk about this thing a little more, because this car definitely deserves some love. And the hypercar class is very, very intense and very, very competitive, so I do believe it's very important to do this. So guys, I figured I would jump right into the Latrells Part 2 as well, do another race with this car and talk about this a little more. So guys, getting into the other hypercars a little bit on why I also think the Bugatti's on top compared to them. So the Bugatti also has a lot of things going for when it comes to speed, like I said, and handling. I noticed the other hypercars do struggle a little bit with some areas with speed and all that, which kind of bugs me a little bit, especially doing the longer races. The Bugatti can actually cruise at like 280, 290, sometimes even around 300 depending on what road you're on. A lot of the other cars I noticed, they'll actually struggle going like a 240, 250. Some of the cars actually can barely hit 250, and it takes a really long time, and before you know it, you're way behind and you're losing a lot of time, and we don't want that, right? And we do think that's why a lot of people do choose the Bugattis in the races. When it comes to the Koenigsegg's, I do also notice, like I said, those cars are very good as well. So if you thought about giving them a shot, you could also try them out if you're not a huge fan of Bugatti, because I know a lot of people do like driving these. Good reason for that is they're great competitors, and if it comes to summits, you're looking for the best time, I would recommend driving Bugatti, right? When it comes to doing any hyper race, it really depends on what you guys actually enjoy to drive, but personally, I'll probably just be running this car. I'll also be driving the Porsche a lot too, but I don't really like driving the Summit cars too much, especially doing videos on them, just because a lot of people don't have them. Let me know if you guys want me to do a Summit video, like I do all the cars, something like that have been out. I am missing one vehicle though, which is that KTM bike, mainly because I wasn't really playing the game that much at the time when that was out. But I did miss that thing a little bit, and then not really worried about it too much though, because there's a lot of dope bikes, even MotoGP bikes now, anyway. So like I said, if you guys want to pick this thing up, you're going to spend over 2 million. You can even try the Chiron, but personally, I really don't drive that thing too much. I think the Divo's better. The Divo's just handling and speed is insane, and if you know how to drive it, sometimes I don't. Definitely do be very, very good for you as well. It's kind of crazy to me, actually, like I said, on how fast this car actually is. Like, if you guys haven't driven this thing too much, jump into one of the longer hyper races and just try it out in the highways, and you'll be shocked how good this thing can hold its speed and all that, especially with Nitro Chemist. That'll honestly pretty much sum it up, guys, on why I really like this car so much. Like I said, definitely give this thing a try. I know the summits are getting more and more intense by the minute, and it seems like having the best vehicles and vehicles you feel comfortable with will definitely help you a lot in that aspect. So I recommend giving this thing a try, guys. The Bugattis really are on top in every way. I'm sure a lot of people agree with me on that. They handle so well in this. They're so fast. They can hold speed. Other cars just seem to struggle in so many different areas, and I think that's what makes these cars so much better and puts them on top, and is why the Divo is so good in pretty much everything. Right now, guys, I'm going to show you my settings on this car if you want to try it out and go race this thing around a little bit and see why I like it so much. The settings I'm running on the Bugatti Divo.